Alors, here it's just an example. And don't be okay, so fine. Here it's what we know exactly today of a specific metabolic pathway of, in particular, glucosinolate. Glucosinolate is a family of specific metabolites that are very important for us because, for example, in the plants, they are able to detoxify the plant when you apply some herbicide or pesticide or so they are able to metabolize this type of xenobiotic molecule in the plant. So it's very important for the health of the plants too. And one of the main family that is able to produce this type of molecule are Brassicacées. Brassicacées that include, for example, mustard and different other type of plant. And here you can see the 3 level, okay, as I show you, of the metabolic pathway. And what it is clear, there is no name of the enzyme, but only some arrow. And the color of the arrow, okay, correspond to a specific activity, so a specific group of enzymes. For example, hydroxylase are in orange, so all of these steps are in orange. Glycosyltransferase in purple. Okay, here it's quite difficult. I don't see where is the purple because the light is not so good. But if you can have a zoom, you will see. Methyltransferase are in green. They are not so a major activity in this pathway. And acyltransferase, as I said to you, they occur quite at the end of the metabolic pathway. There is also other enzyme, obviously, not only these 4 classes, and they are shown by black, okay, arrow. But what it is interesting in this scheme, not necessary to know all the detail, to see a general view of the organization of this pathway. And you can see that, in fact, from the production of second intermediates, after, in the last part, which is really the part of the metabolic pathway, specialized metabolic pathway, you have not so many different activities that are involved. Mainly here hydroxylation and also after acylation. So means that, in fact, the enzymes that are involved in all of this activity are very important tools to produce, okay, some engineered cells after to develop a production of this type of molecule. So what I propose you is to present at least this family that are very important, and just to explain what are their main catalytic activity, because you will see that some of them have not only one catalytic activity, they can have also other catalytic activity, which starts to be complex to decipher when we want to understand how a precursor is transformed, okay, in a product by this type of molecule. So the first one, they are very important. It is the family of oxidoreductase. Oxidoreductase are enzymes that are present in all kingdoms. They manage a very large number of reaction, biochemical reaction, and in fact, they catalyze the addition of the removal, depending of the sense, oxidation or reduction. Okay, you have already heard about this fundamental type of reaction in the living cell. Okay, so they are able to add hydrogen or to remove hydrogen on a protein, on a molecule. Sorry. What it is interesting is that, in fact, they can also incorporate oxygen, okay, in this case. So by this activity, oxidoreductase, they can change the property of the molecule by the addition or the removal of these 2 types of atoms, hydrogen and oxygen. These enzymes are cost effective for the cells because they can be functioned only if they have what we call cofactor. Means that for the cell, the use of this type of enzyme have a cost. And you need to take in mind, we will have a possibility to discuss that together, that each activity of enzyme, each bioconversion is energy, needs some energy for the cell. So it's not so free for these cells to produce this type of molecule. For example, here you need some cofactors such as NADP or NAD that are produced, in what part of the cell this cofactor, this molecule of energy are produced. The energy comes from in particular, the phosphate groups for someone. Do you know where they are produced in the cell? Because I think you know very well ATP but this is also other type of energy molecule. Sorry? Which organelle? In bacteria, yes, but in eukaryotic cells like plants, mitochondria, but not only. You can have some also in the plast. Okay, they are plastid. Plastid and mitochondria are the two main organelles that are able to produce this molecule. Means that when you want to induce, it was what was discussed yesterday, when you want to induce in the plant or in the plant cell production of specific molecule, you need to be sure that it will be enough production of this type of cofactor in order to have a succeed, okay, of success of this production. So this is very important to know. And in particular, in this big family of oxidoreductase, there is one in particular that it is named short chain dehydrogenase reductase family. The shorter name is SDR. Okay, I will talk about SDR that are mainly included in secondary or specialized metabolite pathway, because oxidoreductase are also involved in primary metabolisms too. Okay. And this enzyme, okay, are very small protein because they have only 2,050 and 150 and 300 amino acid residues. So it is considered as very small enzyme. And they present two domains. One is able to bind to the cofactor, the coenzymes, and the second one is able to bind the substrate before, okay, the modifications, enzymatic modification. What it is interesting is that when we look at all the oxidoreductase known, they have a degree of structural similarity that it is very important. This means that when we compare the gene sequence encoding for this protein, they have also lots of similarity. So means that it is a way to try to find new genes that will be able to encode this type of protein. And the omic science could help us very well to identify new genes that could probably encode for this type of protein. And these enzymes are usually membrane bound. So means that they are localized in specific place, okay, in the cell. And the story starts to be a little bit difficult because, in fact, when we are looking at lots of LDR that are known today, we see that they have a wide range of substrate. Means that they can be able to recognize not only one substrate, but a lots of type of substrates. And it is what I call the promiscuity of the enzyme yesterday. Okay. And you see here, it's quite different because you can have steroid, alcohol, sugar, aromatic compounds, and also xenobiotic, like pesticide and so on, that can be recognized by this type of molecule, okay, enzyme, to be oxidated or, at the contrary, reducted. They are classified in two types of class. one of the class is named classical, the second one is named extended. I don't want to enter in the detail of that, just to know that the difference between both is the length and also the cofactor binding motif. So it's a question of the sequence of the molecule. Here on this figure, you can see that they are common to every type of organisms, including human, mouse, fruits, and some fruit fly, and also yeast, plants, and worms. And the proportion between the classical and extend are quite different depending on the kingdom. But it's a general type of enzyme. We know about 2,000 forms of this type of molecule according all the kingdoms. Okay. And for example, it is what I explained you before. If we look at the model plants such as Arabidopsis thaliana, for which we know lots of parts of the genome, more than 140 genes have been identified to encode specific oxidoreductase. So it's amazing to know which will be the good one for one pathway in particular. This is really the challenge every time when we want to decipher this metabolic pathway. Here are some examples because sometimes you can read some paper and you see that these oxidoreductases are named by code, okay? SDR, for example, 65C. And after, we know now that this corresponds to tropinone reductase. Whatever, I don't want to make a detailed explanation of that. You can have here some example, but you see they are bigger, the number. What it is interesting and also for us difficult, is that when you look at the primary metabolism, there is also some oxidoreductase, but we observe a very low diverse family. So they are quite conserved between all the plants. But when we look at the involvement of this enzyme in the specialized metabolisms, we observe a very big diversity. So it's not easy to find exactly which will be the good one for a particular step of the metabolic pathway. And this is reflected by the number of genes encoding this type of enzyme in the genome of plants. In the oxidoreductase family, there is also another one subfamily that it is known copper oxidase. This oxidases are named copper oxidase because when they process the enzymatic modification of the substrate, they use copper, okay, copper here, that it is oxidated and become reducted after for transfer of electron, of energy during this oxidoreduction. I don't want to make a lecture, biochemical lecture, but just to know that in fact, it is a particular cofactor needed to this enzyme. And two categories of oxidase are very important here. They are involved in phenol modification. You have seen that phenol is a very important molecule leading to all what? Phenolic compounds, exactly. But polyphenol also, and so on. And in fact, there is at least two types. One similar to catechol oxidase that is able to hydroxylate monophenol in dihydroxyphenol or in trihydroxyphenol. You can have this ornamentation, and it is led by this type of enzyme. And one category of copper oxidase, oxidoreductase, are very interesting also. Their name is lacase. Lacase are enzymes that are involved in the lignin biosynthesis. We have seen yesterday that lignin is a very complex, polyphenol, phenolic compounds more generally, and in fact they occur at the end of the lignin biosynthesis by combining the different domains H, G, S, we will see that after, okay, that lead to the complex molecule of lignins. How we characterize the functional activity of this enzyme today is mainly by molecular biology approaches, by generating some mutants that have, in which we, for example, we delete, okay, the gene encoding the enzymes. And it was here an example on a specific Arabidopsis seed. And when we have a wild type, this seed seems to be brown, okay? And when we mute a specific lacase, d'accord, we observe that the seed become white. So by this way, we can attribute a functional activity of this type of lacase in the production of the brown coloration, okay, of the seed coat. I don't want to enter also in the detail, but to know the enzyme, to know the gene encoding the enzyme, make possible to decipher their activity by this approach of deletion of the genes or overexpression also of the gene. We will see that later. The second family that it is very important to know, it's what we call the peroxidase. So peroxidase, as the name is indicated here, are able to catalyze redox reactions involving the reduction of a peroxide. Peroxide is the molecule H2O2, okay? And this peroxidation, okay, lead to addition of a group of hydroxyl group, okay, for example, to the molecule. Sometimes it can also lead to combination of several small molecules, like it is shown here in this example. So the classical reaction known for peroxidase are here represented, that you need to have a donor, here it's peroxide, that have 2 electrons and 2 protons, and peroxidation need to transfer and to create hydroxyl group, okay, on the molecule. What it is interesting is that in fact you may have some different substrate, okay, and also they are able to catalyze another type of active reaction, what it is named halogenation. And halogenation is very important because it can modify a little bit the activity of metabolites, secondary metabolites. Now there is a lot of programs that try to find if some molecules that have been halogenated may have some more activity or different activity that can be useful. And the enzyme responsible of this halogenation are alloperoxidase. Halogenation is in general a molecule with 2 copies of the system, and you see here the type of reaction of halogenation. So here are the peroxidase that are very important. They are also present obviously in all the kingdoms, including us, okay, for this. Third family that it is very important also to know, it's they are deoxygenases. Deoxygenases, they are involved in hydroxylation modification, means that you have already an hydroxylation groups and you continue to modify this particular group. So deoxygenases have an oxidoreductase activity. So it means that they are able to introduce oxygen, new oxygen in the molecule. For example, here, hydroxyl is converted in acid. Okay, motif, COOH, means that you have incorporation of new oxygen. This is what I call functionalization, for example, of molecules that give them a sort of high reactivity for further modification after. So this type of modification permits to this molecule to enter, in a process of further modification. you see that this can be added in different manner. Here it is illustrated that oxygen can be added, for example, here on the 2-hydroxyl group, or it can be also added only on one, and it can be also a way to disrupt the rings of the molecules. So deoxygenases are very important. They have been, largely studied, and there is a particular class that are mainly involved in secondary metabolites pathway. This class is named 2-oxoglutarate iron-dependent deoxygenase, 2-OGD to be shorter, okay? And this molecule have as donor of electrons that are needed, and they have iron activity between a substrate and also oxygen. It's oxoglutarate that give the electron necessary to make this type of modification. And this, what we call a superfamily of OGD, is one of the largest protein families in plants. You can't miss this type of enzyme. They are essential in every metabolic pathway, primary and secondary one. And what we have observed is that they can be organized, in 3 classes named DOX-A, DOX-B, and DOX-C. And in secondary metabolite, mainly the DOX-C are involved. DOX-A and B are more dedicated to the primary one. And what it is also interesting or not, depend of this enzyme, is that they are not only able to make oxygenation, but they can also make hydroxylation, desaturation, demethylation, epimerization, halogenation, and so on. So it means that in fact, they have a main activity, but they can have a wide range, of other type of activity, depending on the substrate they have. And here you see that in fact, only DOX-C have been involved in metabolic pathway of specialized glycosinolate, coumarin, fucorin, linear phenolic compounds, other alkaloids. Here are streptolagon and flavonoids are also other flavonoid phenolic compound, and here terpenoid compounds. Just to show to you that the complexity comes from the large diversity of this enzyme. For example, if we consider a plant genomes, we have a very small number of class A, DOX-A class enzyme. It is the same for DOX-B class, but you can see here, for example, for the C class of this enzyme, we may have a very, very, very large diversity of this enzyme, and all of them are involved in a specific modification of a substrate to a product that lead us very difficult to identify exactly the good one for the metabolic pathway we want to study. And here I like this this picture because you can also see that depends of the degrees of evolution of the plants. If you compare here some algae to, for example, angiosperm, such as spermaphyte in general, gymnosperm and angiosperm, you can see that there is not so many evolution of the number of the gene copy of the 2 class A and B, while concerning this last class, you have a very increased number of the gene encoding this type of enzyme. And this is the reflect of the biochemical evolution, of the plant, terrestrial plant. Means that when we are looking for a specific deoxygenase in an angiosperm plants, it's really a challenge to find the good one too. They can't be substituted by one to the others because they have some specificity of the substrate. For Arabidopsis thaliana, obviously it is one of the plants in which we have the more information. about 150 genes encode specifically this subfamily of deoxygenase. What is interesting is that some of them are organized in what we call cluster. Means that they are on the same chromosome, and they are close to each other. And this is interesting because often, not all the time, but often means that they are involved in the same metabolic pathway. So it will be for us a way to try to find new genes of a particular metabolic pathway if we study the chromosome position of the gene, okay, encoding this enzyme. But it is not the case for all, because some are completely independent, okay, it's not a normal thing. But sometimes you have this type of cluster that are very interesting, because it means that some of them are involved in the same metabolic pathway, secondary metabolic pathways. One of the major classes of enzymes are monooxygenase. Monooxygenase are able to make some hydroxylation, and also they are involved in hydroxylation modification. Monooxygenase are it's a complex of two proteins. One, it is named cytochrome P450, okay, and the second one is the reductase, another enzyme, okay, here, that is able to reduce a cofactor in order to give energy to the cytochrome P45 in order it could transfer on a substrate a group of hydroxyl. Now this complex, enzymatic complex, that the name of this type of complex is generally CYP, and you have a number depending of the class, the cladome and the clade of this enzyme, because they are very numerous in the genomes, the plants, but in all the genome. For example, in Arabidopsis thaliana, there is 246 genes that encode for this type of enzyme. So you can imagine the variability, okay, of this enzyme. And all of them function exactly as the same way. This is a classical reaction, enzymatic reaction catalyzed by this type of enzyme. Okay, so they have able to introduce an oxygen and to create an hydroxyl group on the substrate. And they need to have some specific cofactor, an M cofactor, some of iron too, such as oxygenase we have seen before. So now all the mechanisms leading by this enzyme are really well known. Okay, but for us, when we wanted to identify the metabolic pathway, generally there is a lot of CYP, okay, in this metabolic pathway, but they have not the same affinity to all the substrates. So they have, even if they have a sort of promiscuity, they have also a high selectivity of the specific substrate. So it is quite complex to find particularly one, okay, that are involved in a metabolic pathway. And what it is also visible here is that both of the two proteins of this complex are anchored in a membrane. So you find them on reticulum, for example, membrane, on vacuole membrane, and so on. So you may have distribution of this enzyme over the cells that have some, comment on appelle ça, répercussions, some, okay, consequence. These have some consequence of the organization of the metabolic pathway in the cell, in that there is a flux between different organelles, different membranes, okay, depending of the position of the different enzymes. So generally, they do what we call monooxygenation, but they can do also different other type of reactions. So they are not only okay for this type of enzymatic modification. And in this type of second type of activity, we have demethylation, and one in particular that is very important, it is epoxidation. Epoxidation, it is also the integration of an oxygen, but not has a hydroxyl group. But as you can see here, it's a way to link two carbon, okay, with an oxygen. And this in particular, it is a very reactive part of the molecule. Mainly, they are very unstable and they can be taken charge after by several other enzymes. So epoxidation is generally a key step for in the metabolic pathway to have more specific metabolite after. It is one of the biggest family of molecule, okay, and there is some specific website that have that permit to access to all the P40, 50 already known in not only in Arabidopsis thaliana, obviously, but in other type of organisms. So, in fact, it is very useful to have access to this type of website where all the data are collected and are free of use. I show you only these two other type of activity, but you see it's only two among a very big other type of activity that we can see with this monooxygenase. We will have time to see that. Here, two examples. You have we have spoke about Taxol yesterday. Taxol has a precursor, what we call a taxa 4,5-DN. And in fact, here means that there is a lot of step of hydroxylation that involve perhaps not only the same, but a different type of CYP protein. And leading to, you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 incorporation of oxygen at different place of the molecule, leading to the final Taxol molecule that it is efficient for the different biological activity we want. So they are very, very, very important to analyze, okay, the structure of the secondary metabolites. Here it is another example in the flavonoid biosynthesis. You have here the statrol, the first one, and you see here different type of monooxygenase that lead to different other intermediates. So they are also responsible of division of sub-branch. So this is why some of these pathways are very complex, okay, to organize. It is really a challenge to identify these CYP proteins that are involved in the secondary metabolite. And you see that all of them lead to different type of molecule, anthocyanin here, phytoalexin here, and so on. So, and it is due to the first CYP and the site where the oxygen is introduced of the molecule that lead to different type of secondary metabolite. Well, it remains only two, okay. The methyltransferase. Methyltransferase also are very important in a secondary metabolic pathway. As the name it is written here, they are able to transfer a carbon group CH3 to the substrate. And normally it can be on a carbon, so they are able to create a carbon-carbon link. This need lots of energy also. Methylation is a very cost-effective modification. So this is why they need to have some donors, okay, with this groupment, and they catalyze the transfer of this groupment, CH3, on the substrate. But there is also some methyltransferase that can transfer this methyl group on, not on a carbon, but on an oxygen or a nitrogen. So that's give other type of property of the molecule that receive this type of methyl group. So, in fact, methyltransferase are classified according the atom targeted, carbon, oxygen, or nitrogen. And in fact, here you have an example of the small part of the benzylcholine alkaloid biosynthesis. All the enzyme ici shown in red are methyltransferase. Donc you see it is events that are very important in a metabolic pathway. And you have here some N-methyltransferase, here O-methyltransferase, and here also are O-methyltransferase and so on. And what it is interesting is that sometimes here you have exactly the same that is able to catalyze successively two steps of the metabolic pathway. And sometimes they are also able to produce to have EC2 successively, but after they can also recognize an intermediate, okay, not successively, but in a longer way, okay, of the pathway. So means finally they have also a very large panels of substrates. Sometimes for when we do some bioengineering program, it's interesting to have this such type of molecule because we are not obliged to introduce a large number of genes, but just with one we can be sure that this enzyme will be able to catalyze not only one but 2 or 3 steps of the metabolic pathway. So needs to characterize them very well before, obviously. And the last one, no, I don't spoke about glycosyltransferase, I will see, are the acyltransferase. If you remember what I said, acyltransferase are enzymes that are able to reach the complex molecules. They are involved mainly at the end of metabolic pathway. And there is 2 types of acyltransferase, what we call the BAHB acyltransferase. All the letters here come from a specific acyltransferase that has been characterized. For example, B corresponds to benzyl alcohol O acetyltransferase, D acetylvanillin O acetyltransferase. This is in the production of vincristine, for example. And what happens? What is the catalytic activity of this acetyltransferase? For this particular family, they use a specific donor of the group. Here it is the group R, okay, the donor, and the intermediate it is what we call acyl-CoA donor. And here you have a specific link with the sulfur atom and coenzyme A, okay, that give a very reactive domains on the molecule. And with this enzyme and with the acceptor, the final acceptor, they can transfer this part, the acyl, okay, to ici the receptor. And you see here, R can be very complex molecule, not only carbon or just, okay. And by this way, you can finalize the complete building of the highest complex molecule. For example, vincristine and vinblastine are the alkaloid very complex. I will show you after the total formulation. And they come from the condensation of vanillin and catarancine, 2 big molecules. And it is an acyltransferase that is able to link these 2 parts of to create the final molecule that has the best activity. So they are very important to finalize until the molecule that are mainly of interest for us, for example. It was not so easy to characterize. Alors, in this family of acyltransferase, there is another group named SCPL acyltransferase The difference between the first one is that they are localized in the vacuole, while the others are in the cytosol, so they are not localized in the same compartment in the cell. And also they use as a donor, okay, not an acyl-CoA diester, but glucose ester. And in fact, they do exactly the same, depend of the binding site they have to recognize the donor, and they transfer a part of this molecule with the R group on the donor to do exactly the same type of molecule. It's just some different, okay, activity or mode of function mode of this enzyme. So very interesting and very important. Here it's a summarized where you can have in the same pathway some bad enzymes that are in the cytosol and some SPLC enzymes that are in the vacuole. And what it is interesting is that mainly the molecules that are produced by this way may have some cytotoxic activity, so they need to be accumulated in a particular organelle. Vacuole is one of these organelles in order to avoid any endocytotoxicity of this molecule in the cell. Comparatively to the other families, the number of genes encoding this type of molecule are lesser, okay, but not so less. 65 in Arabidopsis for this one, and 51 genes in for the second class. Here are the, for example, the use of acyltransferase, for example, in Vendoline production, or also here in anthocyanin. It is an alkaloid. Here it is a polyphenol compound. So they are involved in all the type of metabolic pathway. And here an example of SCPL acyltransferase. For example, here in production of this particular molecule, avenacid. You see, they are not so simple, this molecule. So it increases the complexity of the final metabolite. To finish, okay. Glycosyltransferase, okay, no problem. This is an enzyme that are able to transfer glucose, okay, on the metabolite. Glycosyltransferase also are present in all kingdoms, in particular in prokaryotes. They have been largely described in these kingdoms of prokaryotes, such as bacteria, for example, and also now in eukaryotes, in particular in plants. On this picture, you can see that when we make the phylogenetic tree of this type of enzyme, taking into account all the organisms, a large part concern bacterial glycosyltransferase, but a large part, you can see here, concern plant glycosyltransferase. Means that it is also a family of enzymes that are very important for all the metabolisms. They have been also classified in a several number of family. I don't want to show you all this classification. It is quite complex, but more than 100 type of subclass. Okay, they can add a sugar not only on the carbon, which is quite rare in fact, but mainly on oxygen, nitrogen, or sulfur atom. So it is also another way to give some glycosidic part of the molecule. And what happens, how it functions, the enzyme glycosyltransferase have the substrate and have also the donor of the here, for example, glucose, and the donor usually is an uridine diphosphate molecule. So it's the donor of glucose. Here, the enzyme that is able to hydrolyze this link and also to add this glucose on the final molecule. What it is interesting is that glycosylation of secondary metabolite may have a very big importance because it can decrease the biological activity of this molecule. And in particular, if you have cytotoxic activity of the molecule, glycosylation is a way to accumulate the molecule without any consequence for the cell. And if you have followed the lecture of Dr. Smita, you have she explained that sometimes there is some quite quick inducible, metabolic production, and this is also possible because previously some of molecules are accumulated in a neutral form. Generally, they are accumulated in the vacuole, for example, or in other organelles. And when the plant or the cell is stimulated, they can mobilize immediately these molecules that are glycosylated, and they are deglycosylated in order to be to enter in the last part of the metabolic pathway, for example, leading to the final component that targets specifically the type of defense mechanism they have to organize against a specific pathogen, for example. So glycosyl transferases are very important to permit accumulation of some metabolite intermediates, in a metabolic pathway. Okay, so here are some example of what glycosylated specialized metabolite. You see, glycosylation may involve not only one sugar but more than one. Here you have 3, 4, and depending here some saponin, for example, or glycoalkaloids. Sorry, anthocyanin are very glycosylated, and here you have a different other molecule that are neutralized when they are glycosylated here. And in fact, it is when you have the hydrolysis of the link between sugar and the protein that you make free, the active metabolite. So it is always interesting to have an idea when we are studying the metabolome, for example, of the molecule, which are molecules that are glycosylated or not, to have an idea. So glycosylation, it is a way to increase solubility, to have a cell compartmentation of the molecules, and also to increase the stability of certain molecules. To conclude, this is the conclusion, just to show you that in fact, when we are looking at this type of enzyme family, here are represented only CYP, monooxygenase, 2-OGD, and the last one, glycosyltransferase. We can observe that, in fact, in algae, which are the first plants produced, you have a number of genes that are really less important than what we found in angiosperm. And in fact, they represent not a large part of the genome. But when we are looking at what happens in spermaphites, such as gymnosperm and angiosperm, we observe a very increasing number of the copy of the gene that encodes this type of enzymes, and they start to represent some part not negligible, of the genomes. This is coming with a diversification of metabolic pathway. And what it is also interesting when we want to make some bioengineering is that we can combine differently the use of this, for example, molecule. Here, theoretical, system, you may have a scaffold, the first one, what we call here a core, and you can here make some first modification, the same by a synthetase, a large family also. And from these first intermediates, depend of the sequence you use, the different enzyme, you may have different type of metabolites that are able to be produced. For example, here, if on this intermediate we we applied activity of a CYP monooxygenase, and after a glycosyltransferase, we can obtain several types of molecules, for example, saponine or cyanogenic glucoside. Okay. With the same precursor, okay, if we put not the same sequence, we start with a monooxidation, okay, and after we applied 2-OGD, we obtain other type of final molecule, such as, for example, gibberellic acid, isoquinoline alkaloid, and so on and so on. And if we do a mix between CYP, UGT, and 2-OGD, and depending on the order we applied the type of activity, you see here we can obtain really different type of molecule that are from different class, okay? Phenolic compound, alkaloid, and so on and so on. So means that in fact, the use of this at least 3 family of enzyme and how we combine their activity and the order of their activity, we can create different type of final molecules. So this is why it's very important to have all this arsenal, in fact, of gene encoding this type of enzyme after we play, like a Lego, okay? We can play with this gene to make some, what we call the block bricks, okay? To create the metabolic pathway. Natural one, but not natural one can be also done by this way. This is why enzymes are really the final and the fine tools of engineers, okay, to develop this type of programs. Okay, I have finished for that.